think most people come here trying to get something and see what they're going to get. And once they realize, they start giving, and then there's giving, and then all of a sudden you're meeting people and people are handing you off to other people, and then just the whole dynamics of how that takes off. All of a sudden you don't realize that, like, all of a sudden you're giving, but then out of nowhere you're getting when you're not even asking for it. So don't underestimate the experience in the room and the power of this energy and the numbers and the quality of the people that are in this event. And really the standard based on who they'll even let into this event, and that's what makes all the difference.
Does this statement make sense to you? In a world of spaceships and supercomputers, our education system is outdated as the horse and buggy. Schools teach us what to learn, but not how to learn. So how do you upgrade your ability to learn? Let Jim show you, end quote. Now, did that statement make sense to you? And by the way, who is this Jim guy? He is Jim Kwik, New York Times best-selling author of Limitless, and recently featured on the cover of Entrepreneur magazine, where it was titled, Upgrade Your Brain. He is also the man who wrote that statement I just read to you, and it begins his amazing website. Jim was once known as the 5-year-old boy with a broken brain. Have you ever felt your mental ability and capability is limited? Or maybe you've suffered some type of an injury or illness that causes you to not think as clearly as you would like to. Jim Kwik has discovered no matter what your circumstances are, you can rebuild your brain. He did it with his own brain, and you can too. Brains aren't broken, they just need a better owner's manual. And Jim Kwik has created one. And now he isn't called the boy with a broken brain, but he's called the world's #1 brain coach. Now, Jim's going to come out first. He's going to make a presentation. And then Joe's going to follow, and they're going to have a discussion together. You're going to learn how you can upgrade your brain, learn and comprehend even faster, and so much more. So open your brain. It's feeding time. Please help me welcome Mr. Jim Kwik.
Can everybody stand up, please? Can we put the house lights on a little bit? I just want to see everybody. Oh, there's some really dear friends here. There we are. All right. Joe asked me to come on just for a few minutes before our conversation to help really upgrade and jumpstart everyone's minds so they could learn the next few days and improve their memory, do all these amazing things that you desire and you also deserve. What I'd love to do is do a quick exercise. Joe, can you partner? I want everybody to partner up with somebody you do not know. So go around the room, introduce yourself to somebody you do not yet know. Get a partner, you need a partner. Quick. Find a partner you do not know. Who needs a partner? Raise their hand. Raise your hand if you need a partner. See somebody else raise their hand? Who needs a partner? All right, repeat after me. Shh. Fantastic. All right, just a quick exercise to kind of wake up everyone's mind. We're gonna do a game where we're gonna count to 3, 1, 2, 3, and go back to 1, 2, 3, and just repeat. All right. Okay, yeah. All right. Here we go. And then I'm gonna ask you to 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Oh. You got it. All right, everybody, go. All right, stop. Raise your hand if that was pretty simple and easy. All right, let's sort of. Now what we're gonna repeat after me. Now what we're gonna do is replace the 1 with a clap. Okay, so watch this. No, 2.
Oh. I'm like, is he
we're gonna do the same exercise,
okay.
Just replace the 1 with a, so I go first.
2.
3. 2.
3.
All right, go. It's crazy, right? All right, very good. How was that? Shh. How was that? Pretty good? Shh. All right, now what we're going to do is add another layer of complexity, and we're going to replace the two, the one still to clap, the two we're going to replace with the twist. You know how to do a twist?
I'll do my best.
All right, I'll start first. Ready? 3.
1, 2,
3.
3.
You see it? All right, go with your partners. Go. It's just a mind bender.
Yeah.
Hi, Dan. Come on, man. All right, shh. All right. And then finally, what we're going to do now, keep the 1 and 2 as they are. The third one, animal noise. All right? So you could start with the 1.
1.
No.
The animal noise?
No. You start with the clap.
Okay.
And now you do an animal noise. And any. What's that?
I woofed.
A woof. Okay, yeah. All right, then I go.
And then,
Woof. All right, go, everybody. Go. Your turn. All right, we're good. Thank you for having me.
is that it?
Yep. All right. Give your partners high five. Have a seat. All right. Have a quick seat quickly. So my goal today is just, they asked me to give you a few tips this morning. Shh. They asked me to give you a few tips to be able to focus the next few days, to be able to retain more information. You all know there's a learning curve, but there's also a forgetting curve. When you read something or listen to a podcast, you hear something at a conference, how much of that information is lost within 48 hours? 80%. And so we want to get the most value over the next 2.5 days. I'm going to give you 8 quick tips on how to retain information better. Before we do that, does everybody, on the tables, there should be sheets of paper for an exercise. Does everyone see a pile of, everyone take two and pass it around. Keep it face down, please. Take 2, pass it around.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying this video, and I want to let you know that I have a new book that's come out, and if you'd like to get it absolutely free, there's a link below in the description, or you can wait till the end of this video, or you can simply go to joesfreebook.com and you can get a copy there.
Does anyone need copies? Take 2, keep it face down. Does everyone have a pen? You're going to need a pen for this exercise. All right. In a moment, here's the exercise. Many of you know that I teach speed reading. This is a kind of a wake-up exercise for your mind. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to turn one sheet around. They're exactly the same. And you're going to see a bunch of numbers. The challenge for you is I'm going to ask you to circle the numbers in consecutive order. And I'm going to give you 60 seconds on the clock, and I want to see how many of the numbers you could get within 60 seconds. There are 50 numbers on the other side, all right? The challenge is the numbers are everywhere, so it's kind of like Where's Waldo? We might want to turn the lights up in the hall also, just so everyone can see. Is everyone clear? All right. Don't start yet. So again, I'm gonna say turn the sheet around. I'm gonna give you 60 seconds. Circle the numbers in consecutive. Don't just start circling numbers. Find the 1, circle it. Find the 2 and circle it. Ready? Go. Now, how do we do? How many here? Raise your hand if you got all 50. Raise your hand. 45 or more? Give them a hand. That's an exception. 40 or more. 40 or more. A few 40 or more. How many people got 30 or less and they're proud of it too? Raise your hand. Good job, entrepreneurs. All right, take the second sheet of paper, please. And what I want you to do is fold it in half. Either way, it doesn't matter, horizontal, vertical, fold it in half. Numbers in or out, doesn't matter. And then fold it into quarters, please. So we'll do a little memory, focus, some origami. So you fold it into quarters. And now open it up. Now what did we just create here? What's this? Quadrants, right? Do we use quadrants in business? I want everyone, without your pen, just look for the number 1 and just point to it. And then search for the number 2 and point to it. The number 3, just point to it, physically point to it. And the 4? And the 5? And the 6. Now, some people are making some noise. Well, how many people see this? Raise your hand. All right, for the benefit of people who don't yet see it, what do you see? You see a pattern, right? What's the pattern? Clockwise. I did this with some children. They didn't know what clockwise was. We live in a very, very digital world. All right, you see the pattern? It goes clockwise. All right, 60 seconds on the clock, please. Same exercise, and begin. 3, 2, and 1. Pens down. How many of you, I assume, how many of you did better? Raise your hand. Did anybody do worse? Raise your hand. Anyone get all 50 on the second try? Amazing. So my question for you, and this is kind of obvious, is what was the difference? Did you work a lot harder the second time? No, you worked what? You worked easier. It was definitely smarter because you saw the pattern. And I really do believe when we're talking about genius leaves clues, right? If somebody is an expert marketer, copywriter, they master their productivity, they can do direct marketing, sales, there's a pattern. Someone can learn languages faster, or they remember names, they're able to focus, they see patterns. Some of you listened to my episode this week with Tony Robbins, talking about pattern recognition and pattern creation and installation. Everybody could do this. So there's patterns to genius. So what looks like magic, often there's a method behind it. And so what I want to do is just share with you just 8 tips, maybe principles, if you will, just really remind you of what you're doing when you do it well. So I want everyone, just a quick acronym, be faster. All right, so be faster, and these will be just the really quick, how many is that? 8 quick tips, and then we'll do our sit down. So the B, to learn, how many of you came here today like to upgrade your mind? How many of you came here today like to have a better memory? How many of you forgot why you came here today? Have you ever done that? Walk into a room of your own home and just forgot why you're there? Feel absent-minded, senior moments come a little bit early. So the B here stands for believe. If you believe you can, either way, what? You're right. Who said that? Henry Ford said that. I believe all behavior is belief-driven. You could learn a technique for how to remember names, and maybe we could talk about that in the conversation today. But if you believe, people come to me all the time, they're like, today, just right before you started, they said, Jim, I'm just getting too old. I'm not smart enough. I have a horrible memory. And I always say, stop. If you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them, right? Your brain is this incredible supercomputer, and your self-talk is the program it will run. So if you tell yourself, I'm not good at remembering names, you are not likely to remember the name of the next person you meet because you program your supercomputer not to. Does that make sense? Right? And again, you know this, and so this is just a reinforcement. Let me show you what a belief is real quick. Stand up. And just make some distance between the person next to you. So if you went like this, you could kind of not touch anybody. Some of you done this exercise before. Shake out your body. All right, notice where your feet are, and keep them stationary. I want you to just point forward with your right hand. Your other right hand, sir. All right, right hand. And what I want you to do, without moving your feet, turn to your right, clockwise, as far as you could go, and notice the exact point you're pointing at. Okay, come back center, put your arms by your side, empty your hands, not in your pocket, and take a deep breath, exhale, and just breathe normally. Breathe normally. And if you're comfortable, close your eyes. It'll help you to focus. And I'm going to take you through a quick 30-second visualization exercise. In your mind's eye, I want you to imagine with your arms by your side, see and feel yourself pointing forward again, but this time imagine you're going twice as far as you did the first time. See and feel, imagine you're going further. If you can't imagine it, imagine you can imagine it. And then with your eyes closed, see and feel yourself going 3 times around, like you're Gumby. You're getting a great stretch. This is a pleasurable thing. You're made out of rubber. See and feel yourself going 3 times around. What does that feel like? And then one more time with a smile on your face, thinking, what does this have to do with reading faster? See and feel yourself going 4 times around. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, open your eyes. Watch this. Open your eyes. Point forward with your right hand. Turn to your right as far as you can now go. All right, clap if you went further a second time. Have a seat, have a seat. Now, raise your hand just so we see this. How many people went further a second time? Raise your hand. My quick question for you is, were you physically capable of turning that far the first time? Yes or no? Yeah, nobody took a yoga class when my eyes were closed, right? But you're physically capable. Where was the limitation, if we're talking about becoming limitless, where was the limitation if there was one? In your mind. And some people say, I didn't have a belief on how far I could turn, but how many ideas of certainty do we have in our mind, right? And so we're going to talk a little bit about mindset and growth mindset, be able to change limiting beliefs. And I know there are people in this room that are experts at this, but we start with the belief, right? Your mind is always eavesdropping on your self-talk. The E, very quickly, is exercise. Exercise and execute. There's a lie. I talk about 7 lies to learning and limitless. And a lie for me is a limited, stands for, everything's an acronym for me. It's a limited idea entertained. It's not true that you're too old. It's not true that you're not smart enough. It's not true you have a horrible memory. One of the lies I talk about is that knowledge is the one we hear a lot. Knowledge is what? Is power. And is that true? Knowledge alone. So it has the potential to be power. It becomes power when we what? When we act, when we apply it, when we implement it, when we execute, when we exercise, right? So the bad news, it takes effort to learn how to remember names, but the truth is, the good news, it doesn't take as much as you think. But you have to take knowledge, turn it into power. I asked myself 3 questions to do this. Throughout the weekend, I was thinking about this. How can I use this? I'm obsessed with this question. I must ask this question 100 times a day. How can I use this? Second question, why must I use this? Because a lot of information stays in your head, but if you're not acting with your hands, you have to check in with the second H, which is your heart, right? The purpose, because reasons reap results. If you can't come up with a reason to remember someone's name, you're not going to remember that person's name, right? And so it goes from your head to your heart to your hands, and ask yourself why. So how can I use this? Why must I use this? Third question, when will I use this? I think one of the most powerful productivity performance tools we have is in our phones, right? Our calendars. But a lot of times we'll schedule investor meetings, doctor appointments, PTA meetings, but not our own execution. I think for every hour you spend learning something, you're on Clubhouse, you have to spend an equal hour implementing. Is that fair? All right. The F, and we'll go through these fast, forget. As Joe mentioned, there's a lot of power in unlearning things, and a lot of us get stuck, right? It's the curse of expertise. They call it. The curse of expertise is somebody who's become an expert, they become more closed-minded because they feel like they know all of this, right? And your mind is like a parachute. It only works when it's what? When it's open. And so I would temporarily forget what you know about a subject so you could learn something new, so you could be able to adapt. So you're not tied to the old ways. A lot of people, you hear this all the time, right? I mean, it's in our industry also as well, where people say they have 30 years of experience, in direct response. But sometimes when you go discover, they have 1 year experience that they've repeated that many times also, right? And so first, to learn something new, forget about what you know, because the half-life of information is getting shorter and shorter and shorter, right? And so have that open mind. The other thing I would say, forget about distractions. And that's easy to say, but how many of you multitask a lot? Right, and you see in the research suggesting that most people can't multitask, do two cognitive activities at once. The task switching, which wastes a lot of time, could take 5-10 minutes to regain your focus on an activity. So when you're here, be here. It could also make more errors when we're trying to multitask. And the third thing, it uses up a lot of energy. Anyone suffer from like brain fog or mental fatigue? Switching, there's a cost energetically. You use more brain glucose from going task to task, and you're context switching, right? So you're lighting a certain pattern of your nervous system's lit up, and then you're going from this, lighting, and then coming back, right? So stick on that. And then so forget about what you know, forget about multitasking, and that's to forget. The A, really quick, the A stands for active. I always think that learning, like life, is not a spectator sport. Right? The old 20th century model for education was sit there, be quiet, be lectured to. And the human brain does not learn through consumption as well as it does through creation. The future belongs to the creators, right? And that's what's truly limitless. There's no limit to your creativity, your imagination, our ability to solve problems, but it requires us to be active in our learning. So how can you be more active in your learning? This is very meta right now. How could you be more active in your learning? You could ask questions. You could be taking notes, right? And we did an episode on different ways you could take notes also as well in our podcast. The S stands for state. I want to remind you the next few days that all learning is state dependent. And I'm defining state functionally as a snapshot of your mood, of the mood of your mind and your body. How do you feel? Because the key to a long-term memory is information by itself. Do this. Information. Say this. Information. Put your hands out. Information combined with emotions become long-term memories. And you know this. How many of you have a song that you could listen to and it could just take you back to when you're a teenager? How many of you it's a food or a fragrance could take you back to when you're a child? The challenge is how do we up the emotion? Because that part of your middle brain, when you're talking about emotion and your amygdala, also it's connected to your hippocampus, right? Your memory. So when you could tie emotions, the state you learn something in is a state that you're going to be able to encode it. So your memory has three parts. You encode information, you store it, and then you retrieve it, right? But if you could encode it with emotions, because we're not logical. People don't buy logically, they buy what? Yeah, they buy emotionally and they justify logically. Because we're not logical, we are biological. You think about dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins. And so control your state. Like right now, who controls how you feel? You do, right? Like sit the way you'd be sitting if you're really interested in what I was saying and really paying attention. Sit the way you'd be sitting right now. Why do you even have to move, right? But you know that your physiology is going to affect your psychology, right? Okay, so that's your state, and you control that. And then finally, the last few letters, T, stands for teach. Your intention matters. If you want to learn the information better over the next 2.5 days, at a meta level, I'd be thinking, how do I teach this to somebody else? How do I teach this to my team? If I had to give a TEDx talk or a 10-minute talk on Monday to my team, how would I go about learning this, right? They call it the explanation effect. The explanation effect, if you have to explain it to somebody else, you're going to learn it better, right? You're going to focus better, you're going to ask questions, you're going to integrate it. And then finally, the E and the R. The E, I'm going to call it entry. And entry is really just to enter it into your schedule like we talked about, because I feel like if you don't put it into your schedule, it doesn't get done. Same as with your workouts, your ice baths, your meditation. The day could escape you, and then you don't get to it. You're floating. And so make sure you enter it, your studies. And finally, the R. This is the retrieval, all right? This is retrieval review. So I'll put two things. The way to learn anything faster, remember I said learning is not a spectator sport. You don't consume information. You don't push information inside the human brain. You learn it better by pulling it out. So Review is spaced repetition, right? Interval training. When you separate, take data and you study it and you review it over a period of time, spaced, like an hour later, a day later, a week later, then you consolidate short to long-term memory. So it's wonderful to take lots of notes. How many of you gone to an event, you take lots of notes, and then you never see that, you never review those notes again, right? So you could enter, going back to the E, your review. The other great way, besides the review for R, is retrieval, active retrieval. And this is a technique where you are quizzing yourself. It's shown in studies to be so much more powerful than reading something twice. You could read something and then quiz yourself. It takes a lot less time than reading something twice, because usually when you're reading something twice, you're not really learning it. More people are recognizing it, and there's a difference, because that doesn't mean it's here. You're recognizing, I've seen this before, but until you quiz yourself, like after you take notes, you go through it and then you test yourself, then you're gonna get a lot more out of it. I'm gonna end with this, and then we're gonna have a chat, I think, right? Everyone stand up. You're like, oh, you're one of those guys. But learning really is, I haven't shared, this is just something that I came to realization recently. I couldn't, I had a brain injury, as you heard, when I was a child, and it took me 3 years longer to learn how to read. And it was a big challenge for me as part of my self-identity. I felt like I wasn't enough. I felt like I was broken. I never had the answer in school, so when they passed around that book, you remember when they passed around that book in circles and you had to read out loud? I would dread that. Like, even thinking about it, I have to work with Dr. Don in this room, because I get like this stress and anxiety because I couldn't. The words didn't mean anything to me. My parents met for the PTA in elementary school. We had in public school, and they assigned me a reading tutor, right? And that helped me. And I'll talk a little bit about the origin of how I got started and learned how to read, because it's kind of very serendipitous. But what I want to do here is, I realize that reading, there's an audio, visual, and motor skill component to reading. And I actually learned that from Joe's mom. She wrote this. I'm going to show this. It's not scripted. This is a workbook from 1972. And I used this, I didn't realize this, but 30 years ago when I started my teaching, fundamentally I was a reading teacher. And my passion was helping kids because I couldn't read. And on a recent Zoom preparing for this, I was organizing my library, and I saw that this reading lesson plan was by Virginia Polish. And it's in 1972. And I get goosebumps thinking about this, because I was like, I asked Joe on a Zoom, is there any relation? And he's like, yeah, that's my mom. And so much so that 30 years ago when I started my practice, I used all these books as my tools to begin my career. And so when we're talking about connections and capabilities and caring, this is just, I want to thank your mom, because that made the biggest difference to me. Love to take that work and do something on scale. So what I want to do real quick is I want to end with this and then have this conversation. Visual, auditory, kinesthetic. I asked Joe, what would make, why do this event? You're returning, what's the experience that you want to create? He's like, Jim, this is what I've always, besides capabilities, it's his mission. He wants people to connect with each other, care for each other, and contribute to each other, and that will make a better world. And so I'm going to do a quick exercise that could really exemplify that. I want you to find a partner again that you do not yet know and introduce yourself. Go, go, go. Find someone you do not yet know. Quick, 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 quick. You need a partner. You need a partner. Go, 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 go. Hey, Joe. Repeat after me. Shh. Shh. You can keep my mic on. Repeat after me. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to do something where we can connect with each other, we can care for each other and contribute and cheer each other on. I believe that the world now, more than ever, all of us need somebody to encourage us. We need a person to encourage us, to cheerlead for us, to challenge us, to be kind to us, right? And if you haven't found that person yet, my recommendation is to be that person, right? You be that person for somebody else, especially be that person for who? For yourself, right? And so quick exercise to just get the energy up to the next level. We're going to play a game that you all played before. It's called rock, paper, scissors. Does everybody remember how to do this? But we're going to do it a little bit different. So let's do it. Rock, paper, scissors, do this with me. You put one hand out, flat, and then you go what? You make a fist, and you go rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Does everyone remember this? Do it again. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. And then you're going to do rock, paper, scissors. So rock, right? What beats rock? Paper, right? What beats paper? Scissors. And what beats scissors? Rock, all right? So what we're going to do is maybe one of the largest rock, paper, scissors games ever. But here's where we're going to get the supporting each other. You're going to do it once. Whoever wins is going to raise their hand. They're going to search for somebody who also is raising their hand, and they're going to battle that person. The person who loses, their job then is all of a sudden they become part of the winning team. So everyone's going to win here, right? And they are going to cheer that person on that they just lost to the highest level, okay? It's like the Super Bowl you won. So what's the sound you make when you're cheering or celebrating? What's the sound you make when you lose? Oh, that was a lot more organic. All right, so you're gonna go rock, paper, scissors. Whoever wins, raise their hand. That person follows that person around and cheers for them. At the end, we'll have 2 people left, right? Half of the room's gonna be cheering for one, half the room hopefully is gonna be cheering for the others, and we'll bring them on stage, and then we'll go. Are you sure? You ready? Go. Find somebody else that's raising their hands. Go. Can we just make sure we get this 30 minutes? That's okay? I'm going to end it now, but can you give us like 30 minutes on the clock? Or is that okay? We might just go, okay, you can keep it. But...
Yeah, it just goes when we, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll keep it short. You wanna bring the chairs out now?
Yeah.
You're gonna get great B-roll. For this. Go! Cheer! Who's still here? Okay, wait. One here. You still in? Are you still in, John? Go. All right, let's. Oh, I lost control of the room. All right, who's left? All right, here we go. The championship right here. Ready? Go. There we go, last one. This is the last, right? Everybody else is out? we have a winner? All right. All right, we can start. Yeah, winner, maybe. All right, who's the winner? Raise your hand. All right, let's give her a hand. A real hand, all right. Have a seat, everybody. Congratulations let's give another round of applause to everybody. Creating an environment, especially now, there's a quote in Limitless, there's a quote in Limitless from a French philosopher, and he says, life is the C between B and D. Life is C between B and D. B stands for birth, D stands for death, life, C, choice, right? And every day we're making choices on who we're gonna be that day. You know, you heard this quote that everything that you do, every decision you make is a vote for who you wanna be, right? And we're making these choices consistently. And we always have the ability in adversity or competition also, we have a choice on our mindset. So thank you, everybody.
All right, well, there's a variety of things that I could talk to you about, but what I think first is, just because if I get into learning and stuff in terms of the time, I'm afraid we won't cover it. So you have done an incredible job of not only documenting, writing a great book, read the whole thing, we've known each other for quite a while. Yeah.
15 years.
15 years, yeah. And basically you learn marketing and you learn how to, writing a great book is one thing, being able to distribute the information, get it out to the world. You've sold millions of dollars worth of stuff, and I don't know, can you publicly talk about how many books you've sold?
I don't know, actually. That's a great question. We donated, we donated.
Is your memory bad, or is it?
No, I forgot. That would be bad. I actually don't remember the last time I forgot something, actually. Yeah. But I never knew, so I can't forget. Yeah, I had some great mentors, many in this room. Brian, Michael Fishman, and I, and Ryan, we used to have this like bagel club, when we're all living in Connecticut, and we would meet every month and brainstorm and share marketing.
Well, let me ask you about that though. So, with Mr. Consumer Health Summit and all this, did they eat bagels, or was it more like a gluten-free?
That's what we're talking about.
That's when the group broke up. When we had
gluten-free.
Gluten-free. There was a big scandal around that.
Well, no. So here's the thing. So you are on the cover of Entrepreneur magazine. This was from last year, right? So, and you've got. I mean, you work with a lot of very well-known people, teaching them, a lot of actors and actresses, and teaching them movie scripts and stuff like that. So how do you people that are already high performing, very prolific, intelligent executors, what are the things that they usually come to you for help with? What are the biggest problems that they have? I mean, other than just basic stuff that all humans have, memory and focus and all that.
So I would say people are at one extreme, right? They come just like they come to you because they're in deep levels of pain. They're distracted, they're overloaded, they just cannot keep up, and they need capabilities to be able to catch up, keep up, and get ahead. Mm-hmm. Or else they're extremely successful, like everybody in this room. You have to be to be here, and they want that edge, and they know that they have to be able to. Your ability to learn and translate that learning into action rapidly, I think, is our competitive advantage, including unlearning also as well. Yeah. Because sometimes we don't grow and we don't innovate because we feel we get very comfortable. And what's that quote? The same level of thinking that's created the problem won't solve the problem. Yeah. And so getting those distinctions to upgrade.
So this phone, any phone, how much has this impacted stress, overwhelm? I mean, we are just so there's a in the spa here at this hotel. There's a deluge. Is that how
I did that?
Where
I did that. That was painful.
You should try it if you've never. It's shocking. So you basically pull the chain down and it just hammers you with freezing cold water. It's a deluge. So it's almost like being a deluge of nonstop, constant communication. Yeah. What are some recommendations you have for dealing with the overwhelm? Because I think we get wired. When I say we, of course, I'm speaking from my own life experience. you know, it's very, this thing is constantly tempting everyone. There are apps, and they have attention engineers whose entire jobs are designed to make technology and apps and everything addictive. So what are some recommendations you have for focusing in a world that has many things that can throw you off?
We talked about in the book, I call it digital deluge. How many of you feel like there's too much information, too little time? Raise your hand as entrepreneurs. Like taking a sip of water out of a fire hose, just like that deluge. It's just very painful, and you're drowning in information, but you're starving, you know, for the essentials, the wisdom. And how do you filter it all through, and how do you prioritize? I would say the most important thing is to keep the most important thing the most important thing, right? And this device, and I'm not anti-technology.
Yeah, nor am I.
Like, you know, fire is great. It could cook your food, or fire could burn down your home also as well. It's just how it's utilized. But I don't think anyone would argue that people have more stress, more distraction, and a lot of it is amplified by technology. So the devices I talk about in the book, it talks digital deluge, too much information, too little time. That's why we talk about speed reading, accelerated learning. Digital distraction. How many of you feel like it's really difficult to hold your concentration in a world full of rings and pings and dings, app notifications, social media alerts? And it's been my experience that focus is more like a muscle. And a lot of us are flexing our distraction muscles when we're engaging with our phone without conscious thought, right? Mindlessly. And then there's these two other ones, digital dementia. How many of you heard this term, digital dementia, in healthcare? It's where we're outsourcing our memories to our smart devices, and because of it, our brains aren't getting the requisite exercise all the time, and we become more forgetful because we're so dependent and reliant on it. And that's a challenge too also as well. So your memory, there's no such thing as a good or bad memory. I would reframe it. There's a trained memory and an untrained memory, but it simply just is not taught. You know, just like, you know, you take the elevator, you could do that every single day, or you could use the stairs. You know, there's a consequence, you know, in terms of if we're using it, use it or lose it is your brain. And then finally, I just made up this word, digital deduction. I read this study where children, this generation, they don't have the same analytical ability, rational ability, you know, to be able as previous generations. And part of it, they were saying that because of technology, because these devices are doing the thinking for us also as well, because they have algorithms. And the school teaches you a lot what to learn and what to think, but not necessarily how to learn and how to think. Mm-hmm. So this whole area of meta learning, I'm very passionate about. Meta learning, we hear of meta a lot. Learning how to learn. Meta cognition is thinking about your own thinking.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting to think about what technology can facilitate, good or bad. What have you found since you've written the book, since you've been doing all this? If you had to look at the most valuable tools, technologies, hacks, whatever, however you'd want to describe it, that have been the most useful for you.
Yeah. So I'm not super, you know, tech. I'm so analog, to be honest. You know, I wrote this book in my journal mostly. How many of you, like, when you're taking notes, even prefer handwriting notes to digital? That's always been mine. Actually, when people are tested, they do better. When students are tested for comprehension and retention, which is what matters, they found that people who actually handwritten notes had better comprehension and retention. So I don't use a whole lot of apps outside of, you know, our database, our Slack, and things like that. But I think the apps are amazing. I mean, how do you scale things? You do it through technology, through people, through systems, right? Through money. But money usually funds those first three things. But I'm all for technology again. But we upgrade our phones. How many of you have the latest phone, or like the last couple of generations? We upgrade our phones, our apps, our computers. But you know, I don't think we take a lot of time upgrading our minds, as you are doing right now. You know, obviously.
Yeah. What about doing drugs and drinking a lot? Okay. So, well, let's go back to marketing. Mm-hmm. What did you do for people? There's many book authors here, many people that put their knowledge and their wisdom out into the world, and best ways to do it, get paid for it. What are some suggestions on some of the smartest things that you've done?
How many authors are in the room? Just out of curiosity, raise your hands.
Just a couple. No, quite a few.
Half the room. I love reading. I think if somebody has decades of experience and they put it into a book, and you can sit down in a few days and read that book, you could download decades into days. I think reading is to our minds what exercise is to our body. When the book came out, it's my first book after 3 decades of doing what I do. So I want it to be very special. It came out of April of 2020. So just when the pandemic hit. And so it was challenged because I had a plan. I had 34 speaking engagements to promote the book and on top of a nationwide tour, and all 34 were canceled. And the book tour, Milk and South by Southwest, all, biohacking cover, everything just got moved, right? And so I believe for me, it's just, I didn't get involved in business to do business. I got involved in business to be able to, it's important to make a dollar, but and it's also important to make a difference. I know we all share that alike. But for me, it was about sharing something I believed in with people who could benefit, and that's my attitude towards it. So we unlearned, the strategy for book, promotion, and then we started doing things like our podcast and cultivate. We create contests and challenges that did extremely well. But the tactic, my thing is, the methods are always there. This is my pet peeve. Like, everyone knows generally what to do. It's getting ourselves to do it. And when I wrote this book, it was 100% a methodology. Before I sent it to my publisher, and before I hit send, on email, I asked myself this question. I said, will 100% of the people who read this book get the results they're hoping for? And my honest answer was no, because we all know the things that we should do, but we're not doing them. And so I created something called it totally rechanged the way I looked at my content. And I just think I went back and I created something called the limitless model. And this is the model I use for everything. So think about, let's make this very personal, is it okay?
Yeah.
Everyone think about an area.
Make it as personal as possible. Avoid of people getting naked. Go wherever you want.
We,
Just want to plant these seeds in everyone's head.
So limitless is not about being perfect. It's really about advancing and progressing. Going beyond what you believe is possible, what you're currently demonstrating. And so I want everyone just to think in your mind. You don't have to share it with people at the table. Think about an area where you're not advancing. Your health, make this. You can write it in your notes. Your health, your relationship, your career, your level of impact, your income. Where are you not making progress? Where do you feel stuck? Now, where do you feel like you're in a box? Now, that box it's defined by 3 dimensions, right? It's 3-dimensional. So the 3 forces that contain that box are the same 3 forces that will liberate you out of that stuck state. And I call this the limitless model. So imagine a Venn diagram. Everyone draw out a Venn diagram, 3 intersecting circles. Can I do this?
Yeah. Yep.
All right, so, sorry, I feel most home like this. All right, so think about where you're in a box. It's 3-dimensional and you're stuck. So these are 3 M's, right? The last M are the methods. And we come to events because you want to learn the methods for marketing, for direct sales, for social media, for crypto, whatever it is. That is constantly being updated. But my thing is, people don't do this. And why, right? And this, by the way, when you look at this framework really quickly, I would invite you to actually look at this if you're limited using this framework for your team, using this framework for you and a prospect to invest in your business or to buy. So the first M here, I'm going to make it 3 M's because I kind of obsessive like alliteration. The first M is your mindset. And your mindset are the set of assumptions and attitudes you have about something. Functionally, it would be things like your attitudes and assumptions about money. Your attitudes and assumptions. And I guarantee you when I go through this, you could see yourself in this really well. 3 things I would put in here. What I believe is possible. You can write that down. What I believe is possible is part of your mindset. What I believe I'm capable of. You could believe it's possible for somebody else in the room, but not believe it's possible for you, and that will keep you stuck in that box. What I believe I deserve, if you want to get really raw, in terms of being a thermostat. So somebody can learn a great method on how to remember names, but if their mindset is, I'm stupid, I'm too old, or they can learn a great method for, you talked about relationships, and deepening a relationship, but their mindset is, I don't deserve love, it's going to still keep them in that box, right? And then finally, you could have a limitless mindset, believe everything is possible and that you're capable of it and you deserve it, and have the right methods and still be stuck in that box, because the second M is missing, and the second M is motivation. Motivation, and so you might not be motivated to have that goal, right? And that's why you're limited. For this, just so I could build this out, a lot of you know I have a formula for motivation. Limitless motivation for me is P times E times S3. P times E times S3. And I think this is the formula for motivating yourself and also motivating somebody else. And I love to have discussions with all of you because you have all these different distinctions. Let's say you want to motivate, let's do a thought experiment. We want to motivate somebody to exercise, right? As your body moves, your brain grooves, brain-derived neurotrophic factor is beneficial for your brain, and they're not doing it. Usually they miss the first thing, which is purpose. The P stands for purpose. Remember I said it's go from your head to your heart to your hands? Someone might not be motivated to buy because they don't feel purpose. And I say feel purpose because some people intellectually know why they should do these things, why they should invest, or why they should biohack or something, but they don't do it because they don't have purpose. They don't feel it, right? So purpose is a feeling. And you do not have motivation, you do it. A big part of, I think, success in leadership is transforming, Alex talks about this, transforming the nouns and turning them into verbs, right? You do not have energy, you do energy. You do not have focus, you do not have motivation. You're like, Jim, that's the problem, I have no focus or motivation. You do these things, and when you turn into a verb, it gives you agency, right? It gives you your power back, and you turn into a process. So you don't have motivation, you do it. And what's the process? You start with purpose first. The person has to feel something. Now, somebody could have a limitless purpose and still not be motivated to work out because they lack the second thing, which is E. E stands for energy. If somebody hasn't slept in 3 nights because they have a newborn child, or they eat a big processed meal and they're in a food coma, they're not going to be very motivated to work out. Is that fair? So, talk to Dave and all about the mitochondria, right? Everything that you need to maximize your energy. That's why we have whole sections in the book on sleep, on best brain foods that help reduce anxiety, because stress management, because stress eats up a lot of energy. But you can still have limitless purpose and energy and still not be motivated. So I added S3, and these are your small, simple steps. Because somebody can have limitless mindset, they could have a limitless purpose and boundless energy and still not go forward because this goal is too big. It's too intimidating. It's too confusing, right? And confused mind does what? Does nothing. And an exhausted person, exhaustion can make a coward out of anybody, right? And not move forward. So you always have to be able to manage your energy. But then going back to S3, small, simple steps, I just ask myself this dominant question all the time. When I'm faced with a decision or a dilemma, I think, what is the tiniest action I could take right now that will give me progress towards this goal where I cannot fail, right? Yeah, BJ Fogg talks about tiny habits, right?
Yeah.
What is the tiniest action I could take right now that will give me progress towards this goal where I cannot fail, right? Inch by inch, it's a cinch. Yard by yard, it's too hard. Right? Little by little, a little becomes a whole lot. And so using this, and I'll just end with this, you see this crossover here between, this is interesting to me, mindset and motivation. I'm going to give you 3 I's. This shared space, this I, is inspiration. What is an inspiring speaker, inspiring movie, or inspiring book? What do they do for you? They change your mindset about what's possible. Right? Seeing Andre, that's so inspiring to me, right? And so it opens my mind about what's possible, changes a little bit my belief, and I get motivated. It gives me some purpose and some energy. But I'm inspired by I don't know what to do because I lack the methods. Where mindset crosses over with methods, you have shared space, second I, that is ideation. Mindset, you believe everything's possible, it stays in your mind, and the methods, you know what to do, it stays in your head. That's the ideation place, right? Because you're lacking the motivation to do something with that idea. And then finally, where motivation and methods cross over, this shared space is the final I, and that's implementation. Implementation, right? Because somebody's motivated and they know what to do, the method, so they're implementing. But they could still be stuck in this damn box because they're only going to be able to achieve what their mindset allows, right? And by the way, the one area we haven't talked about is that where all three collide in the middle, all three M's, all three I's, and I'll make it a fourth I. That's integration. That's your identity, right? That force of who you are, because it's just your mindset, your motivation, and the methods you're using are totally aligned. And I bet, Jim do, I bet you could see this, right? You advise your clients methodology, but the most successful people, they have the mindset of a certain level of wealth, and they're motivated to do the things that you suggest, right? And even if you're motivating someone you're marketing to them, if their mindset around health is limiting, then it's going to be hard to get them to do this thing called buy your product or service. Maybe they need to be purpose, maybe energy. Maybe you're making it too complicated for them to buy, and you need to make small, simple steps so they have consistency and commitment.
Cool. Awesome.
I just want to.
No, great. I'm trying to think, because I would like to do questions with the audience, but according to our thing, we've got 4 minutes left. So can you do fire? Who has a question that you must have answered here that could hop up to the mic real quick? Run at the speed of Superwoman.
Hello.
Okay, yeah, and you guys, we'll do quick too. Yes, go for it.
Hi, thank you so much. It was amazing. How do I get myself focused? What's the process of being focused while I have distractions around me?
So how do you remain focused when you have distractions around you? So I don't know how many people are familiar with Robert Dilts's model here. Okay, I'll do rapid fire.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just can't. Okay, so most people want this behavior really quick, and you could apply this towards anything. This will answer a lot of your questions. Most people want a behavior change, right? Because they want to create a new result, it requires a new behavior. So I want to stop smoking, I want to work out, I want to focus, right? This is one of the hardest things to change, right? You have to also change the level above that, and this level is like, let's say this is your capabilities, right? And your capability is how you're going to do that thing. So a lot of people, let's say their behavior is they want to read more, and so that's the behavior, and they try to force themselves to do that behavior. But if they could read better and they were trained in their skills, then they would do it more often, right? So you have to address capabilities. Above that is the level of beliefs and values, right? And so you need, in order to do this behavior, you need beliefs and values that are, so if somebody wants to be able to behavior to read so they could focus, right? They need to be, most people aren't going to read because they're bad readers, so you have to fix capabilities. And they have beliefs about things. They have beliefs about, maybe they don't value reading. Maybe the behavior is they want to remember names and they want to focus on that, but they don't value remembering people's names. It's not important to them, so they just don't do it, right? And then the highest level here is the level of identity. So maybe the behavior is they want to overcome procrastination, but their identity is, I'm a procrastinator, right? So the change has to happen systemically. The last part I'll put down here is the environment. The environment, because it's really hard to be focused if your environment doesn't promote focus, right? When you go into an environment, that activity gets anchored, whatever you do repeatedly. A lot of people are working in their bed, or they're entertaining in the same room as their office, and that gives your nervous system a lot of confusion. By the way, questions are always the answer, right? So what are the main questions you learned in school? Because this will help you focus also. Who, the 5 W's and the H, right? So the identity is the who, it answers the question who. The beliefs and the values answers the question why. The capabilities answers the how. The behavior is the what. And the environment is the when and the where. So everybody wants the magic pill. There's no magic pill, but there is a process. And if one thing is out of sync, you're not going to get sustained work. The other thing I would say is master your questions, because your questions direct your focus. A lot of people read a page in a book, get to the end, and forget what they just read because they're not asking questions. The questions activate that part of your brain called the reticular activating system. Your brain primarily is deleting everything. There's a billion stimuli you could focus on. What do you let in are the things that could potentially are key to your survival and threatening, and the things that you have interest in, which presuppose you have questions about. And ask and you shall receive. And so you'll start seeing these things all over and asking questions like, what's the best use of this moment, right? I know one of Joe's dominant questions, how can I be more useful, right? Whatever you ask repeatedly, you're going to get more of those answers.
Awesome. Let's just do one more question, and then Jim, during a break, just hammer him with questions, please, because Total extrovert. And
I
he
totally
loves that. Kathy.
On your Be Faster acronym, would you change any of that for learning physical movement skill?
That's a great question. So we actually have a podcast coming out in 2 weeks and the next month or so. Specific. How many of you like to learn, like improve your muscle memory, for lack of a better, to learn a new skill, choreography, martial arts, or something? That's not an easy answer, but we have a. Has anyone listened to our podcast? It's free online. There's a link in our our thing. But I love your feedback on it when it comes out.
Yeah, let me say this too. Like most people that have books here, their books are in the gifting suite. So we give you their books, or they have given you their books. One thing I want to mention, just because my mother's books, which was when me and Jim were actually preparing for this, and he pulled out and asked me, is there any relationship? I was like, this is so bizarre. And my mother, she died when I was 4 years old. She died in 1972. And she wrote some of the first books teaching children how to read using the phonetic method. So I've got a whole bunch of her books. And is Denise Gosnell in the room? So my lovely attorney Denise, one of the good attorneys. And every attorney that's in Genius.org is a fucking amazing human. Yeah. Actually, that's more of a true statement than you can imagine, because most attorneys' jobs is how they get paid is milking money out of misery, and many are deal killers. Denise, on the other hand, she's been very helpful and stuff, and she, without me knowing, went and got me the rights and secured the rights back to my mother's books, and presented that as a thank you. And so how I want to tie this in, and how I want to add this, is that when you have knowledge and information or how-to or skills or whatever that can benefit people in the world, and you do not document it and put it out into the wild, put it out into the world, then all of the lives that could be changed. I mean, you can look at it purely from how you can make money, or you can look at what do you put out into the world and how is it benefiting other people? And millions of children have learned how to read using my mother's books. And my father, insisted that she keep her name on the books because it was hers. He didn't want to take credit for it. And when she died, in a very grief-ridden state, the publishers had my father sign something which pretty much he got a tiny percentage of royalties. So he never got paid hardly anything for my mother's books. I've never pursued that, nor would I, because that's not how I make money, is trying to pursue, you ripped me off or whatever. When Jim mentioned this to me, I was like, man, if we can digitize them, as Donna, your assistant, has shared, how we can put this out into the world, that would be such a honoring of my mother. I think she would be so happy with that. And my mother, believe it or not, many of you know, was a former nun. That's a whole nother story. Okay, she left the convent because she had gotten ill. But I grew up raised Catholic, and boy, can they put the shame in you really well if they get you early. But my mother really helped a lot of kids, and to know that this was influential in what you learned, and then you sharing what you're doing. I mean, it just made me realize, wow. And we have a VR company, and we're talking about Jim being part of that, and just all the different ways that we can share knowledge in the world. So the thing is, my mother didn't live long enough to see the impact of all of the work in her life, but it has impacted so many people, and that's the whole thing. You do something good in the world, you change their children, you change the children's children, and that's the best that we can do. So
to complete the story, the reason why I use this as when I started teaching reading, I had very passionate to work with children, because when you teach a child, you teach their children, right? And because I struggled for so long, and I was teased and kind of I felt like I was very marginalized and didn't believe in myself. That reading tutor used a couple of your mom's workbooks, and that's why I used it to teach and be able to pass that on. So, yeah. I mean, if you could read, thank a teacher, right?
No, totally. So there's a lot more we could discuss, so this will just be the start of it. I wanted to introduce you to people that didn't know you, your work. The book is fantastic. Jim has a lot of stuff online to go deep with any of these topics. He's a great guy. Anything you want to ask him, please do, within reason.
Can I?
Yes.
This is for final words. I want to. This is. Joe, we've been friends for a decade and a half, and I know you have even in deeper, longer relationships here. And I am very introverted. I had this conversation with Susan Cain, that many of you know, author of Quiet. She said an introvert is somebody who wakes up with 5 energy coins, and every time they engage with somebody, they give away one of their coins until they're depleted and have to rejuvenate and replenish. An extrovert wakes up with no coins, and they need to meet everybody and take their coins and have more energy, right? But I do this because I also feel there's a lot easier ways than to probably make money than some of the choices that we make in terms of doing this work. But I feel more obligation to do it. Joe, I never said this publicly, has been such a big multiplier and magnifier for us, and many people in this room have been extremely supportive. I don't talk about this ever publicly, but for 5 years I slept 90 minutes a night. My dear friends know that because they were there, and you never know the battles people are facing. I had very severe sleep apnea. He introduced me to Dr. Michael Bruce, and all the connections are amazing, right? Because we started spending more time at an event in 2009 with Richard Branson that you helped make happen, and with Sean Stevenson and Stephen Covey, and amazing. That's where I met Michael Fishman, but because you helped put that together, I met Michael. And because of Michael, I met Brian, I met Dave Asprey, through Consumer Health Summit. And it just goes on and on, and you never know. So connection is really everything. You talk about it with addiction. My point of bringing this up, that saved my life, because my sleep went from there to just 4 or 5 hours. It was just life changing for me, because I was hospitalized 3 times because of lack of sleep. So it's very scary. And when you think about your mortality, it's very raw. And then to recently, where you introduced me to Donna Stapleton, who became our chief of staff, and it's totally changing the way we do business. So I really appreciate those connections. And I have something for you from our team that is John in the room? How many of you know John Ruhlin, who wrote? He wrote an amazing book that changed a lot of what we do. It's called Giftology, and he puts together these amazing love bombs. And on behalf of just the caring and compassion and just the community that you build, we wanted. I'll leave it to you. We had an idea, and I'm excited to see this. This is for you.
Don't bring out a stripper. That's going to be weird. Okay.
I get a little worked up even talking about this, but Joe, you've helped a lot of people, and we haven't spent that much time together. But guys like Andre Norman, who's one of my boys and one of your boys, like your ripple effect is pretty incredible. And within the last 4 years, I had the opportunity to meet a gal who I'm always on the lookout for ways to honor people that are really like there's nothing you can buy them. How do you honor somebody's legacy? How do you tie that into who they are and what they're about? And this artist, her name's Lindsay Wanner, and she left her job selling advertising, and she started to make pieces for like the St. Louis Blues, and she'd use hockey sticks, so like these artifacts, and build these things in. And other celebrities started to find out about her, sports athletes, whatever else. And Oscar de la Hoya hired her to take all boxing bags and made like this portrait. And her pieces now are starting to go worldwide and sell anywhere from 10 grand to 100 grand. And a lot of them are made out of broken records. And I think about all the things that you've done to break records and help other people break records. And so she makes these art pieces that are almost like mosaics. And so if you guys can bring out this piece, and I'll describe it before it gets unveiled.
Presents.
This came because John and I were talking. We were thinking about on behalf of just everybody that you've had this ripple effect too. You know, what do you get somebody who has so much?
Wow. Wow. This is going to be interesting.
So I'll recommend Jim and Joe for you guys to jump off stage.
Or at the very, maybe even if you're good on front here. He'll be okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you want to jump maybe to the front
maybe
of the
you're
stage.
gonna go just to see this.
No worries, man. Thank you.
So before I unveil it,
I'll have a seat.
thought about, Joe, like when you think about, legacy, you think about the people that you care about, that you love, the people that, like, if you're going to have one last meal, who are the people, and there's a lot of people in this room that you would invite to that table.
Yeah.
But who are some of the people that have poured into you, that you've poured into them, and the ripple effect? And so when I talked to the artist, it became very clear that it had to be more than just Joe in the picture. And so this piece is made over the course of hundreds of hours, thousands of pieces of broken records. And there's 4 people. Joe's one of them. And Mr. Dan Sullivan is one of them.
We could show it.
Let's pull down the curtain.
Oh, wow. Wow.
It's made entirely of vinyls and broken records overlaid. It took literally hundreds of hours. And obviously Andre's up there, Sean, who I unfortunately never had the opportunity to meet, but I've heard so many amazing things, Dan as well. And Joe, thank you for the impact that you've had on so many people and connecting. The piece is called The Connector. And with that piece is a NFT that we've started to make these for Ed Milet and for other people that we feel like it's under the banner of Mosaic Moguls. And the idea of people that are out there doing good in the world, connecting people. And so once a year, there'll be a gathering of all those moguls to be able to continue to multiply the effect and give back. So, Joe.
No, thank you. Thank you, brother. And Sean would love that. And I cannot believe, thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you. It's so interesting how damn accurate it is, too. I mean, the mannerisms of always holding my hands like that. Sean always, it's just, and that looks exactly like Dan Sullivan as a broken record. Wow. Unbelievable. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, guys. That will go in the Genius Network headquarters. I'm half tempted to put that in my house, but that really should be at Genius Network. So thank you, guys. Awesome.
Okay, I hope you found that video awesome and useful. So if you want to get a free copy of my book, I want you to click here. And if you want to watch some more videos that'll be useful and awesome, click here. Go ahead. You're over here. Do it now. Come on. Thank you. Watch them.